Today will be a short lecture actually, because generics is the second chapter that's not actually a data structure. I mean, last week we learned recursion and now generics. So, but it's important for data structures. So let's see an example. Here, I define an array using array list. And if I compile it, it says unchecked or unsafe operations. Well, so why does this happen? This is because usually we use array list. We need to define like what type of values are saved in that list, right? So for example, this one is string, so I can only add string into it. If it's an integer, it's only integer. So this kind of behavior is called generics. Generic is not a data structure, but it's a feature provided by Java. It enables us to coding like flexible and safely. It's actually commonly used in all the data structures we will learn later this term. So the key of generics is like it allows the error to be detected at compare time rather than runtime. What does that mean? For example, this array list, if I write a piece of code in this way, it is okay. But if I set list at 1, even before I run the code, during the compile process, the program will report an error because this array list this list only allows strings inside it. We cannot input any other things. So this way, it will just stop the error during the compiling process, which is safer. Another example, we can define a method called comparable to compare two elements. If we just define the method like this way, like a comparable, and its inside is a date variable. And if we using this, we input a string into it, it will report an error at the compare time. So this way also our code is reliable. Of course, we can just avoid generics just using the whatever way we want. We can create an array list and then input string and the integer, any other things we want, just into the same list. But that way we will make our list not reliable, especially for Java. So then this question will be wrong because this is a date list, and we can only add the date item into it. If it's a string, it will be wrong. And also, generics, the types here inside the bracket, it has to be reference type. So we learn at in 1047 and 1046, like this int or double, those are primitive type. And the others like integer, string, they are reference type. So for example, here, if we just want to set that the element is int, so we can only use the integer instead of int. So a generic type can be defined for a class or an interface. And we talked about stack last time, but we didn't talk about how we can implement a stack. This class is a stack class, a common stack class. And usually we need this typical method to define this class. For example, is empty to determine if it's empty, and the size to get the size, and peek will just get the element at the very top. And pop will return that element and also remove that element from the stack. And also we have push, which is just to push an element into a stack. So stack and queues, we will talk about later, all of them can be implemented using array list. It's just the way we define these functions. So for queue, of course, it has other function that remove the first element and push from the end to the queue. We will talk about later. But for stack, we can just using this class to represent it. But here, this for this stack class, actually you can see here, instead of using string or any other things, we use object. This way, this is like a traditional stack. If we just do it like this way, we can actually input anything to them, an integer or a string, whatever types you want. But if we want to make it secure, like more reliable, we can create a generic stack. It's almost the same. I mean, the right script is almost the same with the left one, except we change the object here. Oh. Okay. Except we change the object here to a element E, character E, to represent it. Now we are using generic stack. If we define it in this way, I mean, change all these objects into E, now we cannot just, if we, sorry, this is the original one. If it's just a generic, just using object, we can push one, an integer, or we can push a string into that. And if we want to get something, we have to specifically change the type of that element. But if it's a generic stack, we know it's this one only accepts integer, so we don't need to care about it. This generic idea can also be defined for a static method. So the format is just put this E after the static item, after the static word. And that's it. We can just, this is this method becomes a generic method. So, but one thing to remember, to note, for example, if we write a class, and here we try to write a method, generic method called max to get the maximum value from a list. And if we do it like this way, although here the generic stack is integer, and this method max, it accepts number. We know that integer belongs to number. It's like a subclass. But if we do it like this way, if you report an error, cannot convert to generic stack number. This is because this int stack is not an instance of a generic stack number. So we cannot just directly use it. Int stack is a generic stack integer. And the generic stack integer is not a generic stack number, which is confusing, but that's how Java handle it. So you can see, although integer is a subtype of number, but this one is not a subtype of generic number. Yeah, we actually have a question in the quiz on Thursday about this one. Yeah. So if we want to use it, we have to use this thing called wildcard generic, which is basically just, you can use a question mark or question mark extend t, question mark super t to represent two things that are connected with each other. For example, this specific code, we have to revise this to question mark extend number. This means that integer, although generic stack integer is not a generic stack number, but this way we can use it directly. I know it's a little bit confusing, but yeah. For the future data structure, we learned usually for queue we have generic queue and generic priority queue. We don't have to define it. We can just use it directly. Just need to remember that each time what type you want to use, just put it into that bracket, and then it will be safe.